Hare Krishna, Gita ji, you are on mute. Gita ji, you are on mute.
Thank you. Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are continuing with chapter number 15 of the Bhagavad Gita, which is actually also called Purushottam Yoga. And today we will do verses 18 through 20. So verse number 18. Yasmaksharam atito aham aksharat apichotamaha ato asmi loke vedecha pratitaha purushottamaha. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Because I am transcendental, beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that supreme person. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unnitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Once again, thank you all so much for joining. And this particular verse that we have taken, 18 plus 19 and 20, is actually going to give us knowledge about the most confidential part of the Vedas. Now, in this verse 18, Krishna is declaring he is the Supreme Lord. Now, the Vedas have already declared, and we know Bhagavad Gita is the essence of the Vedas. So here, Krishna is saying he is transcendental, he is the greatest, and he is celebrated. In the Bhagavad Gita, this chapter itself, when we touched verse number 15, Krishna says, Sarvasya chaham hridi sanivishto matah smritir jnanam apohanam cha Vedescha sarvir aham eva vedeya vedanta krit vedavid eva chaham. He's saying, I'm situated in everyone's heart, and from me comes knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. And then he says, I am the compiler of the Vedas, and I am to be known from the Vedas. So this whole purpose of giving us this Vedic knowledge, all the Vedas, is so that we can understand who is Krishna. That's the most confidential part of the Vedas. In fact, in the Brahma Samhita, the very first verse says, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. That Krishna's form is Sat Chit Anand. Vigraha means form. That means the Lord is not impersonal. He's personal. He has a form. And it is Sat Chit Anand, which means it's eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. So his form is spiritual, but of course not like our form, our material form. This material body is actually made of blood, bones, etc., etc. But Krishna's form is Sachidananda. Now, if we look up the meaning of God in dictionary, we will see that it is singular, which means there's only one God, one person, one supreme person. There's no one equal to him and there's no one above him. That is God. And the same thing the Vedas also state. We see Parashar Muni is giving us the 6 qualifications of God, the Supreme Lord. Aishwarasya Samagrasya Virasya Yashashriya. These are the 6 opulences that only Krishna has in full. You know, beauty, knowledge, wealth, fame, power, renunciation. These are the 6 opulences. Now, in this material world, we will see that some people are beautiful, but maybe don't have wealth or knowledge or renunciation. In other words, there's no one person who has all these six opulences in full. You see, it's only the Supreme Personality of Godhead who has these. So it's important to understand that, the Lord is individual, we are individuals, but we are contaminated because we are in this material world, so we are conditioned. But there are some liberated souls also based on knowledge. So if we take on the knowledge from the Bhagavad Gita, then it is possible to attain liberation. But still, one cannot come to the same level as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is superior to all living entities. Now, last Wednesday, we heard from Krishna that he is situated in everyone's heart as the super soul. Now, in verse number 19, Krishna says that whoever knows me as the Supreme Lord without any doubt, this is very important, without any doubt, that person actually knows everything. This is what he says. And what is the result of someone in that knowledge? Then that person engages, Krishna says, in my full devotional service. You see, we all in this material world are serving, right? We may be serving our spouse, our children, our relatives, friends, boss. We are serving. That's our nature, to serve. But here Krishna is teaching us that if we perform service to him, but with devotion, that's why it's called devotional service. And that actually means bhakti yoga. Bhakti means devotion. And yoga is to connect with the Supreme Lord. So when someone who is in knowledge that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, based on all the scriptures that we have read, Bhagavad Gita being the essence of the Vedas, then that person, if that person doesn't have any doubt but has firm faith that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, then the result is that person will start engaging in full devotional service to Krishna. Now, there are 5 subject matters of the Bhagavad Gita. Who is God? Who are we? What is material nature? What is eternal time? And how does karma work? So these are the 5 subject matters. So one of the subject matters is God. Who is God? So here, this verse that we recited today, number 18 from chapter 15, clearly says, Krishna says, I am the Supreme Lord. He himself is speaking and saying, I am the Supreme Lord. Many people like to speculate, who is God? You see, this is not, God is not a subject matter for speculation. No, the Vedic scriptures are clearly telling us who is God. So we take on knowledge from the Vedas and understand who is God. If we hear with faith, and we understand from the Vedic scriptures, then there will be revelation. You see, we need to take that first step of having basic faith that there is God. Then the next step is, based on the scripture called Bhagavad Gita, we understand who is God. And then when we start performing devotional service, which starts with mantra meditation, when we do that, then our faith becomes very, very strong. You see? So Vedic knowledge is actually called Shruti. Shruti means oral reception, hearing. You see, receiving this knowledge through our ears, through bona fide disciplic succession. There has to be an authority. That's very, very important. So authority, we know, of Bhagavad Gita is Krishna. And his representatives who come down in the disciplic succession, they are the ones who are teaching us. You see, supposing I have never seen my father and I don't know who he is. So how do I find out who he is? I mean, I cannot go to my neighbors or, to some store or, do some research. Yes, I may be able to find out, but the easiest and the surest way to find out who my father is, I go to my mother. My mother is the only person who knows who my father is. You see? And so similarly, if we want to know who our Supreme Father is, the Supreme Lord, then we go to the mother. And the Vedic scriptures are considered the mother. Bhagavad Gita is considered the mother that is revealing to us about who our Supreme Father is. So this verse that we recited today has an important word in Sanskrit which says bhajati. Bhajati actually means to engage in devotional service to the Lord. You see? So since we have that tendency of doing service, whether it is to ourselves, to others, why not serve the Supreme Lord? And the best way to serve him or to perform devotional service is to chant his holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This is how we start performing devotional service. We use our senses, we use our tongue to chant, and we use our ears to hear. You see, when we use our eyes to read the Bhagavad Gita, so we are engaging our senses, and in this way we can purify them. So this knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita is considered to be the true fruit of the Vedas. That the whole purpose of Vedas is to understand Krishna. So Krishna says one who knows this knowledge is actually the knower of everything. And such a person will start performing devotional service. Now, devotional service can be performed in different ways. There are 9 forms of devotional service, which is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranan, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. So first is Shravanam. Shravanam means hearing. Kirtanam means chanting. Smaranam is remembering. So when we start hearing first, getting the knowledge, and then putting it into practice, which means performing devotional service by chanting the holy name. So when we do that, then that will lead us to the very next step, the third step, which is smaranam, which is remembrance of the Supreme Lord. Now, in verse number 20, Krishna explains that this is the most confidential part of the Vedas. And he says, I am disclosing it to you now. He's disclosing it to Arjuna for our benefit. And Krishna is explaining that he is the Supreme Lord. Now, Krishna says in that verse 20 that anyone who understands this will become wise. So wisdom here, that wisdom that he's talking about is nothing to do with material education, academic knowledge. Here he's talking about spiritual knowledge. So one will become wise spiritually. That means it's important to become wise spiritually also. You see, and what will be the result of that wisdom? Then our endeavors, Krishna says, will know perfection, which means we will be able to attain perfection in our endeavors. So he's talking about bhakti yoga, devotional service. You see? So becoming wise. So Bhagavad Gita is a very practical, book which explains to us not only how to engage our senses, how to talk, how to walk, how to sit, the thinking process, etc., but also teaches us how to become wise. Why is Krishna talking about being wise? I mean, one may say, I'm a wise person. I'm quite intelligent. I know, so many things. I'm knowledgeable, etc., etc. But the real wise person is one who understands that this human form of life is very rare. in this human form of life, we have philosophical intelligence by which we can distinguish what is right, what is wrong, where we can understand what is the purpose of life. Human life is not meant for eat, sleep, and be merry. Human life is meant for something higher, to achieve a higher goal, which is to become self-realized. You see, unfortunately, most people do not know about the self. Everyone is identifying with the body. No one really thinks about the spirit soul. Bhagavad Gita is teaching us that, yes, you are not this body, but you are the spirit soul. So just like we feed the body every day, we need to feed the soul also on a daily basis. And as per the Bhagavad Gita, the best way to energize the soul, to feed the soul, is to do mantra meditation. So Krishna is saying that if someone wants to attain perfection, now the perfection he's talking about is not, getting an MBA degree or PhD, nothing to do with academics. Here he's talking about attaining perfection spiritually. You see? Because after all, we are spirit souls. Our constitutional position is to serve the Lord. Jivera Swarup hoy, Krishnara Nityadas. We are the eternal servants of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this verse number 20 is actually summarizing the whole 15th chapter. Chapter number 15. What is that? That if one knows that Krishna is the Supreme Lord and one serves him with love and devotion, then one will become wise and attain perfection. This is what Krishna is trying to say. Now, this chapter number 15 is also called Purushottam Yoga. Yes, Purushottam Yoga. Purusha Uttama, the topmost person, that is the Supreme Lord. And this is Purushottam Yoga. In fact, this month, starting from 2 days ago, starts the Purushottam month, which comes once in 3 years. Purushottam month comes once every 3 years. And this is the time, it started on yesterday, 18th of July to either 16th of July to 18th of August. That is the period when this is a very powerful month as far as spirituality is concerned. It is said in the scriptures that anyone who performs devotional service in this month, that person attains a lot of piety. I mean, it's multiplied. It's multiplied. So if we do, say, 1% of pious work or piety, then we get the benefit of hundreds and thousands of, equal to hundreds and thousands. You see, it's a very powerful month. So we are so fortunate that we are doing chapter number 15, Purushottam Yoga, in Purushottam month, which is considered to be very powerful spiritually. So, why not take the advantage? Just like whenever there is a sale, buy one, get one free, we try to take advantage of that, to save money. So here we have an opportunity that if we do little, we get a big result. The credit received is much more, a lot more. So what about, a question may arise, what about those who don't have this knowledge? What about those who do not want to serve the Lord? What about those who are not interested in spirituality, who don't want to make the best use of this human form of life? What about those? They don't, they don't get the opportunity to serve Krishna. You see, according to the Bhagavad Gita, however intelligent one may be in the estimation of others, that person is not perfectly intelligent if that person does not understand the goal of human form of life. The goal of human form of life is not just enjoying the senses, but the goal is to become self-realized. And the whole process is given to us in the Bhagavad Gita, how we can become self-realized, how we can purify our senses, purify our intelligence, purify our mind, and come to a stage which is called Brahma Bhuta stage, the stage of self-realization. Krishna says, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na shochati na kankshati. We need to come to that stage where there is no more lamentation, there's no more hankering, there's no more running after things. You see? So intelligent people, according to Krishna, they realize what is the purpose of human form of life, and they follow the Bhagavad Gita so that they can put an end to all the miseries of life and attain perfection and happiness, which is permanent. Not that, there is a beginning for the happiness and then there is the end. No one likes the happiness to end, but it does. So for us to understand this chapter, Krishna tells Arjuna that you are able to understand is because you are sinless. You haven't committed any sins. And so to understand Bhagavad Gita, we need to come to a stage of being sinless. And Bhagavad Gita actually shows us how to reach that stage of becoming sinless. And this month is a golden opportunity for us to kind of increase our meditation, increase our chanting, increase our reading and hearing of Bhagavad Gita, and also try to purify ourselves. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, if we have a mirror which is covered up with dust, then we cannot really see ourselves in that mirror because it's covered with dust. So if the heart is covered with dirt, like lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, etc., then we cannot become self-realized. You see, for us to really understand ourselves, we need to purify the heart. And according to the scriptures, Harinam, Harinam, Harinam eva kevalam, that there is only way to cleanse the heart is by chanting the holy names of the Lord. So here, these verses are helping us to understand that Krishna is the source of everything. Krishna is the maintainer. He is a supreme soul within the heart. He is a supreme personality of Godhead. And this Bhagavad Gita knowledge is helping us to understand that. And not only that, helping us to come to a stage of liberation. Liberation from all the miseries of life, surrendering to the Supreme Lord, surrendering to his instructions in the Bhagavad Gita, so that we can come to that stage of self-realization. So by understanding the philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita and also putting into practice by performing devotional service, of which the first step is mantra meditation, where we chant the holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. When we do that, then the heart starts getting purified. The contamination is removed. You see, then what will happen? We will ourselves realize that I am not this body. Right now, we are understanding theoretically from the Bhagavad Gita, I'm not this body, but that realization comes by the mercy of Krishna. Just like they say, God helps those who help themselves. You see, and same thing Krishna tells in the Bhagavad Gita, Ye yatham mam prapadyante tam sthateva bhajamiham. As one surrenders unto me, I reward them accordingly. So Krishna is going to see our sincere endeavors, and based on the degree of endeavor, he is going to shower his mercy to us. You see, so to understand Bhagavad Gita, we definitely need a teacher, some guidance, and also, take on this knowledge and try to contemplate on it. It shouldn't be that we hear from one ear and then it's gone from the other ear. No, need to think about it, contemplate, try and discuss it. What is it that Krishna is trying to say? You see? If we hear Bhagavad Gita in association of like-minded people, like all of us, we are interested in Bhagavad Gita. That's why we are here today, to hear the Bhagavad Gita. So when we do this in the association of like-minded people, then it becomes easier to understand the Bhagavad Gita. You see, in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna that you need to conquer the weakness of your heart. Arjuna was very, morose. He was sorrowful. He was lamenting. He did not want to fight his relatives. He just wanted to run away from the battlefield, you see. So that is what Krishna considered as weakness of heart. You see, Arjuna's mind was getting distracted from the path of perfection, and that happens. Of course, Arjuna, being the pure devotee of the Lord, was put in that situation, in that state of confusion, so that he could inquire, he could ask questions, and Krishna could give answers for our benefit. So right now, we are getting the benefit of the questions that were asked by Arjuna 5,000 years ago. You see, in this material world, the mind gets distracted from the path of perfection. That tendency is there to lord it over. Like, I'm the Lord of all I survey. I'm the enjoyer. Everyone should serve me. I'm the boss. I'm the ruler. So this tendency is very common, you see, and this tendency distracts one from the spiritual path. But Bhagavad Gita teaches us how to become perfect on the spiritual path. It teaches us how to become strong at heart. It teaches us how to free ourselves from bondage. You see, we are in bondage in different degrees for different reasons. It could be attachment to the body. It could be attachment to work. It could be so many different things, that help, that actually hold us back from the spiritual path. So here, Krishna is teaching us a simple process by which we can free ourselves. And he's giving us the most confidential part of the Vedas, which is very simple and sublime. What is it? Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, intelligent people, they know that there is God and he's the creator. And Bhagavad Gita is just teaching us who he is. Bhagavad Gita is telling us the name of God, the address of God, the phone number of God. It's giving us all these details. You see, all we need is basic faith to start hearing it, trying to understand it, and then making our lives successful. This is something, we need to decide, do I really want to pursue this? Is it going to be beneficial to me, or am I going to waste my time? What is it? Well, we will know only when we hear, right? Just like they say, the taste of the pudding is in its eating. Until and unless we eat the pudding, we won't know how yummy it is. Just like there is a bottle of honey. I have never tasted honey, for instance, and someone tells me it's very sweet, very sweet. And if I start licking the outside of the bottle, I'm not going to get any taste. I have to open the bottle and then take a spoon and put it in my mouth and then say, it is really very sweet. You see? So similarly, just hearing the Bhagavad Gita is not sufficient. We need to taste it. Taste it means we need to chant, we need to do mantra meditation, and then we will realize the sweetness of the Bhagavad Gita. So, of course, there is no harm in just hearing, but then if we want full benefit, then we need to put it into practice. And I'm telling you that there will be no loss. And that's what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. There's no loss in performing devotional service to him. No diminution, no loss at all. This is only great gain. I'm telling you from my own personal experience. I have been reading Bhagavad Gita, teaching Bhagavad Gita for 35 years now. I've been chanting Hare Krishna for 35 years now. And I'm telling you from my own experience, it's very blissful. It's very, very blissful and peaceful, and it gives happiness. Why? Because there is knowledge. We understand. Who am I? Where have I come from? What am I doing over here? Why am I suffering? How to end this cycle of suffering? How to get permanent peace and happiness? All these questions are answered in the Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the most confidential part of the Vedas. So I am going to stop here now. But before I stop, I would like to just make an announcement that what I was thinking of doing was to move this class from Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to Sunday morning, 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope that is going to work for all of you. And it will be very convenient for those in India, because it'll be 7:30 p.m. For them on Sunday, which will be better than 5 in the morning for them on Thursday. Like Rohitji is, hearing from India, and it's 5 in the morning for him. So I was hoping that this time would be convenient for all of you. So next Wednesday, there'll be no class, but it'll be on Sunday, which is going to be 30th of July, and we will meet at 10 a.m. Of course, I'm going to post the event on Facebook and also post it on WhatsApp group, so that, if y'all forget, it's going to be there. And also I'm going to put some links over here for those who are joining for the first time. I think Samir and Vishal have come for the first time. So I'm going to end now, but before I end, I'm going to chant a little bit of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, just a few times, so that, we get into the mood and you all can chant on your own on a daily basis also, okay? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So you see, it's very, very simple. And it's my humble request, please, all of you chant on a daily basis, and you will notice the difference yourself. So